I have been asking you this question for 12 years.
What are you talking about? And if I didn't answer it in 12 years, you think I'm going to answer it now?
Probably not.
Probably not.
You should never start a business in the mental place that you were. But I did it because I knew bad things would happen if I didn't give my brain something to latch onto.
And I'm going to, because I'm going to cry if I continue that sentence, because, yeah, tragic. I needed the place to direct my attention.
It kills me that people can agree on 98% of all things, but they're willing to trash relationships over that 2%.
I mean, honestly, there were days, Jason, that it was like, I'm so angry at you that I wanted to just walk away.
I didn't know what kind of questions you would come with. I didn't know what kind of thoughts that you were having. I didn't.
Oh, I've went many different directions.
How many years did I look at you and say it's not worth it?
Yet you continued.
And you need to be a sponge and out there trying to absorb all of the information you can and learn from every person that you encounter and every situation that you find yourself in, that you always need to be looking for the lesson so that you can develop wisdom. That was the whole, when I was trying to grow in the beginning, make mistakes early and often, because whatever the mistake is, I'm going to learn from it, and then it's going to be applicable for the rest of my life. And that's where the value is.
Do you want me to talk loud?
I'm
Is that better? Can you hear me now? Look, she's showing him the menu on her phone.
That's great. There's a customer that is standing in front of the menu, FaceTiming her husband, and she's showing him the menu so that they can order. Like, how great is that?
What do you want, honey? You should send him home with a menu and see it in person.
Okay, so again, this is chapter 2 of documenting the journey. This in particular interview has been one that I have been looking forward to, and I'm almost a little fearful at the same time. So I will give you the backdrop to that statement in general. This is Rebecca. She is a business partner. She is my best friend at this point. Probably the most loyal person I have ever had the pleasure of knowing. And to paraphrase and keep a long story short, this business was a brainchild that sat in my brain for a decade before I did anything with it. When I started it, it was due to the loss of my son and the grieving. 30 days before I was getting ready to open, my ex-wife decided that she wanted to participate. And for the first 5 years of the business, it was myself and my ex-wife trying to make a go of it in this business. I still have an extreme amount of love for my ex-wife. But when you are steering a ship, generally you can't have two captains, but you certainly can't have two captains fighting like cats and dogs in the middle of a business that you're trying to grow. So while my ex-wife is still involved, as far as she works in one of the other businesses of the overall, she exited. And when she exited, Rebecca got involved. And that was the start of my relationship with her. And Rebecca has been a part of this business and has been with me for many, many years. So that said, I don't know what questions are going to come, and I don't know what is going to come necessarily out of this interview. But I want to give an extreme amount of credit and appreciation where it is due. I really appreciate this woman. sometimes she doesn't appreciate me, but I think over the years we've learned how to work with each other and understand each other to get the best result for the benefit of all of the people on both sides, both employees and customers in the business itself. Hi, Rebecca.
Hey, it has been a journey. It's been a journey getting to know each other and learning how to work with the different styles, different views. It's been a journey. Thanks for bringing me along. It's been an experience. Many experiences.
Right. And that's because we've had that conversation where I have become a minimalist by necessity.
Have you, though?
That's not fair. Again, a minimal, because I didn't have a choice. I didn't have any money to have anything.
Well, yeah, there have been times. I don't know if I'd call you that now.
Well, that's not fair. Because
now.
I look at it and I'm like, everybody gets that, like, I want to go spend, that Christmas shopping kind of bug. And I was always able to satisfy that urge and impulse by buying shit for the business. We have just bought so many things for the business, and generally it was all, this is going to help us get better, or this is going to be something cool in marketing that will attract more people to us. But when it comes down to it, I'm like, I personally have not went about collecting many things. I still don't have the one thing that you hear about every spring.
Because you chose other things.
Yeah, for the business. That's not fair. That's not fair.
It is fair.
I say it's that I would have to have 10 to 15 of those to equal the price of the one thing that I want.
Shall we take a walk downtown?
Again, not fair.
Walk around the inside.
That just happened to be what the opportunity was, but that's still an investment, and I still have to have a roof over my head. And I realized that I figured out how to have a roof over my head for a lot of years without actually literally having a roof over my head. But it has been a journey. Yeah, I don't, because it's funny, because the thing is my quote unquote style, I think, has evolved over time as I have learned more about myself, learned more about management and leadership, learned more about psychology, while being fiercely, I'm going to be me no matter what. So I got to figure out what my style is by taking all of this information and experience and kind of collectively figuring out what's the good and keeping it and reinforcing it, and what's the bad and discarding it and not letting it rear its ugly head. And at the same time, understanding your style and not rejecting it on its face because I knew it wasn't my style. And giving this operation a chance for your style to succeed. That has been a test and a development of my patience. And I don't want to say blind faith, but a certain amount of faith that as long as, like, the character and the heart behind the style is genuine, authentic, that any style can succeed, albeit that style might have to be supported in different ways. My style needs supported by people that will give a softer tone to it. Your style has to be supported with, from my perspective, more directness and reminding people that they should appreciate your style if they don't appreciate mine, if that makes sense.
I think both styles balance things out.
Well, there is only room for both of them in the same room in limited doses. Because I think my style is more active and your style is more passive. And in certain circumstances, they complement each other and we're able to accomplish big things. And in other circumstances, only one of our styles is going to get the best result in a room, depending on the situation and the individuals that are involved. And then there are times where my style was called for, but yours was the one that was present. And I had to come back in and clean it up. And other times, your style was called for, but my style was what was present. And you had to come back in and clean it up. The best that I can say about that is recognizing the difference in the styles and what is called for in the moments and in the situations and with the personalities in the teams that are being dealt with. Because there are times now where, as I have grown, I have at least been able to, we've had better success because I have been able to look at it and more diagnose and say which style is going to get the best result out of the storm that I see brewing, and then deploying the best of. Because there was plenty of times in the early years that it was a learn as you go and backfill and fix when you got a bad result and we needed a better result.
Yeah. You've
So,
come a long way.
Long way, but I will. How long have you worked with me?
12 years.
12 years.
Mm-hmm. And the roof is still on the building.
Hey, it's a new roof too.
Hot diggity.
It only took getting hit by 2 tornadoes and
Mm-hmm.
but that, when I look back at that time sucked.
Yeah.
2013, 2016, tornadoes follow the same path, and we take an indirect hit that caused us an extreme amount of pain, yet not enough pain for the insurance companies to actually make us whole.
Right.
That's where I come to Brian. Brian was the savior on the 16 because we got totally screwed on the 13.
Mm-hmm.
And if it hadn't been for Brian and his mass documentation and a couple select phone calls to some government agencies, we would have taken a bath on the 16.
Mm-hmm.
And those are just 2 single day incidents out of more incidences than you and I can count on our hands and toes collectively over 12 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had a lot going on through the years. And the early days were rough. They really were. So before I actually came into the business and working with you, I knew you before then.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have our little solve the whole world's problems sessions.
I remember that, Chris being like, did you guys solve the world's problems? Yep.
Yep. And at that time, you had Whiteland. I think I came in, so you still had Muncie, you still had the Indianapolis store. Was there another one? I think that you were down to those 3 when I had met you. You had 2 in Muncie at one time.
Yeah, 2 in Muncie, 1 in Whiteland, 1 downtown Indy, and 2 here. So
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, because the 7th, that little building that I tried up there had failed. Yeah.
So I remember those days, and you coming in and talking about, you know, the trials and tribulations of early business years, and you didn't have a place to stay at that time either. You were struggling really, really hard at that period of time as well. And Jason's style is to jump in with both feet. Don't think about it, just jump. And you did. You opened 7 stores. And how long of time span did you do that?
I mean, I'm saying maybe 2 or 3 years.
There was a lot to take on.
Considering
for a new entrepreneur,
yeah,
taking on 7 stores in different cities, and you were running around like a chicken with your head cut off.
Mm-hmm. Horribly.
Yeah.
And did not, stupidly doing that, not having the funds to even actually give myself a roof over my head.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I'm going to grow when everybody else is too afraid to grow. And when the economy turns, I will be in a better place to compete on the upswing. And I look at it now and I'm like, I for better or worse, for whatever reason, I have always had the ability and the willingness to catch the falling knife. And I don't know if that serves me well, but it's something that I've recognized about myself, that I have been willing to take risks when other people wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Mm-hmm.
And it's caused a lot of pain, and it's produced a lot of lessons and wisdom. And I can look back from a point of gratitude now and say, I'm grateful for those experiences. But from the outside looking in, somebody else would look at me and call me a fool. And I can look at myself and say, you moron, you didn't have the proper, like, I don't see a problem with that kind of growth. I now know I didn't have a proper foundation. Like, the reason it all failed was because I was building a house of cards. Like any seasoned entrepreneur that knew would look at me and they would bet on total failure. And rightfully so, because the foundation wasn't, there was no training program. There was no proven systems. There was no real processes and procedures. All of that had to be built once it all burnt down.
And burnt down it did.
It did.
So, as an entrepreneur who took all of these things on, how did that make you feel to have to go into a store and say, sorry, you're no longer employed. I'm shutting it down. Not once, but one to the next, And how did you bounce back from that?
I mean, the reality is I had to go through that 3 times. There were more stores than 3, but I had to go through that pain in Whiteland. I had to go through that pain downtown. I had to go through that pain in Muncie.
I think downtown was the last one.
Yeah. And there was only a couple people affected. It doesn't matter. My union background, like, I have always believed capitalism-wise that you don't go into business to create jobs. Like, that's retarded. You go into business to build something that is self-sustaining, that creates a profit, and the byproduct of that is that jobs are created. And from a union perspective, that was a point of pride for me. So, exponentially more painful than firing somebody, which is the hardest piece that I still struggle with today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's made me more risk averse. I think I've gotten more risk averse as I've aged. And some of that has to do with, like at 30 years old, I was full of piss and vinegar, and I knew I had all kinds of time, that if I screwed up, I had plenty of time to rebound. The evolution of wisdom is ask better questions, get a better result, learn from all of the mistakes. Now I want to open up hundreds and hundreds of stores because I have the confidence that it's not on a house of cards, that there's legitimate systems and processes there to actually build off of. It's just I've always known franchising was the vehicle because I would never, I don't have access to those.
Yeah, you can't be at 100 stores and make sure they're all...
No, and that's why we have spent so many years focusing on building out the training platform and building out all of the paperwork that is like, it's important to me that the principles that I hold dear end up in all of the stores, which then comes to the word culture. And it was how do I translate that without me legitimately or literally being inside of a store?
And that's actually a question. I wanted to talk about your culture. Because here, in like Indianapolis, you've had some really long-term, I mean, we've had longer because we're older than Indianapolis. But the culture, I mean, you've had a lot of employees that have been here for good clips of time. We've had so many different groups in this store because people come. They come from, they're high schoolers. They work their way through high school. They go to college. If they're local, they want to continue and work here. We've produced, well, we didn't produce them, but we help them to successfully go be nurses or whatever their chosen professions was. We have college students that go out of town to college, but they come back on their breaks. We have people that come to work part-time, and they come and they say, I want to work here full-time. This is my full-time job now. I'll work part-time somewhere else. I want to work here because I like the work. I like the job. I like the people. So, I mean, we've had such a diverse people doing different things. So we don't always keep them we don't keep them for 30 years. They don't usually retire. But they do spend 5, 6, 7 years with us. We've got people that have been here with us for a long time. It has to do with your culture. So I guess the question is, and it's not just the employees. There are people, many customers that I waited on in that window 12 years ago that still come through here every day. I see them. I still talk to them. So it's not just about the employees. It's also about the customers that still come here and they come back here. We've got several in here that have come back. They left and came back. I want to work here. How did you create that culture? How do you pass that on to other people to continue that culture? How do you maintain it and grow it? How did you start with that culture? Where did that all come from? And how do you disseminate that into your stores?
Man, it's like there's some of it where I'm just going to say I don't know because I'm still figuring out everything that is the building blocks of me. But there's a couple pieces that I've gotten like really focused on to say, this is making a difference. There is a piece of me that everybody in here finds extreme value in, but that piece of me is not appreciated by my blood family. I won't sweep anything under the rug. Accountability means more to me than anything else. traditionally, family wants to be able to do shitty things to family, and they're just supposed to sweep that under the rug. And because we're blood, this is just all supposed to pass. And after time goes, you're just supposed to get that happens. But I look at that as a pattern and say, well, if you show a willingness to sweep a shitty action under the rug, then you're programming them that they can, it's just waiting till the next time for that next shitty action to be swept under the rug. That's not me. I won't do that. But how does that translate to a work environment? Too many employees go work other places and they see that either the managers don't care, or they are lazy, or they have been trained to avoid tough conversations. They won't give honest feedback. And in businesses, they see nothing but something is always being swept under the rug. Just don't pay attention to this. Just let it go. Just forget. I won't do that. Because it goes against my grain that I'm like, own it, learn from it, shed light on it, and then we can move forward. Don't hide it and sweep it under the rug, because in my brain, it still hasn't been addressed. So I think that our people appreciate working somewhere where accountability is expected and valued. And I believe that out of that accountability comes a higher level of learning, and growth comes through learning. And as they learn and grow as a team, you get more continuity of the group. And then the group delivers better service. The group takes a higher level of pride in every individual cup or in every pizza. So you get a higher level of quality, which leads to how many ways can you give a customer a reason to be loyal to you? Well, if your people don't care, you'll never get the customer to care. And that's where, and we went back and forth about this for a long time. I never wanted a dress code because I wanted everybody to be comfortable, because I felt like if they were comfortable, that comfort would project out the window. We found let's say, I believe a cool medium, because it's okay, well, the shirts and the hats, like we have to be able to separate so the employees know who the employees are and the customers know who the customers are. Okay, so shirts and hats. And I remember, can you remember when we were having the conversation about whether we were going to allow multicolored hair, whether we were going to allow...
There was a period of time when one of your employees who'd been here for a good clip of time, oh my God, I screwed up my hair. I made it McDonald's red. I think he's going to fire me. Scared to death.
Mm-hmm. Then this world is evolving. Are we going to accept facial piercings? This world is evolving. Are we going to accept all of the tattoos? And I more or less was like, okay, I'm willing to conform, but there's got to be a limit. Like the cowbell shit coming out of their nose. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'll deal with it in the ears. I can deal with the stud in the nose, maybe, but like, there's got to be a limit, because I just saw like the world is going too weird, and this is my world, so I should be able to at least set a limit somewhere. And the limit was, where will my customer draw the line? Because many tattoos, but tattoos on your hands still have a stigma or a perception, and perception is reality, of dirty. So it's like, okay, apply that to where is my customer going to draw the line? And I laugh about this because I'm like, you go to Seattle, one, the majority of the baristas are male and they are fully tatted up and nobody thinks nothing of it there. Indiana is still very conservative, and I chose women over men when it come to the predominance of the barista workforce. And I knew that I didn't have all of the answers, and it was consummate testing to find out what would work and what didn't work. But I think that that's one of the things where we resonated, people watching, because it's studying psychology, understanding what makes people tick. Like, people are habitual, but how is it that they find their way into the habits that they find their way into? The whole culture thing was really hard for me because I was just being me. And when I would see that we were getting a good result, as principled as I am as an individual, I knew that I was a good person, because if this was all based on just me being me and we're developing a loyal customer base, well, then I must not be bad. Even in my brashness, even in my directness, there was a certain level of respect and appreciation that was coming out of it. And then it was, how do you frame that in a culture? Which then got me down to, okay, well, now I really need to name and refine my core values, because I can't translate, I can't train, I can't program, if you will, if I can't define. A couple years ago, I want to say, I don't know how many years it's been at least 3 or 4, respect, rapport, reputation. I put a lot of deep thought into those words. And I settled on those 3 words. They were easy words for people to understand. And when I thought about every argument I'd ever been in, every situation I had ever been in, every defense that I've ever had to make for my actions, they fit into one of those 3 words as to who I am, how I am, why I am, where I came from. I wasn't always comfortable with me. It took me a long time to say, I am me and I'm not changing, but I don't know if I should be comfortable with me. It's taken a lot of time to connect those dots and get there to say, I know that I'm broken. I know that I'm a little bit screwed up, but I'm okay with me. And I know who good people are, and they're okay with me. So I'm not bad. I'm
Must
different.
Be okay.
Yeah.
It smells okay, looks okay, walks okay, must be okay. You okay? So you talked about your core values. How did one of those core values play out in your actions today?
Today, specifically. That's funny. Okay, so I'm going to refer to in a previous interview. She has been very moved by what this place stands for and is. And had I known everything about her, I never would have hired her. And I hope that when she sees this interview that she takes it in totality. It's just like every other thing that employ 400 people. You find certain people that you just know that they're not going to work out in general. But then I come back to had I had it myself, I would have never hired Skylar. And then Skylar was one of the youngest and literally became the most qualified individual in the group. I have learned that hiring homeschooled kids is generally a non-starter because they don't have social skills.
Right.
I asked her why she worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
She said that this was her safe place, that this was where she came to feel welcomed and appreciated. She's thriving in that kitchen, and it's because of the group that's in that kitchen, but I know that group in that kitchen, and I know how much I have impressed upon them about respect and rapport and reputation, and remembering that everybody starts with a day one, and remembering that the onboarding is going to determine what kind of result you're going to get out of somebody, and making them feel welcome and letting them know mistakes are okay as long as you are learning from those mistakes. I didn't know that she was homeschooled. But the training that we have enacted in here got the result of her. And all of that was happening without my knowledge. And like in all of these interviews, she's the youngest. She's only been here 6 months. And I'm like, in all of these interviews, she made it worth it to do all of this, because she was a story developing inside of this business that is a success that I didn't even know was occurring, and wouldn't have known had I not offered up the opportunity to let any employee interview me. And I found out by what she told me through the process of opening it up for her to interview me. And then we get into the reputation side of it. She scared me. One of her first questions was, what am I doing to provide a safe space for people? And you know that terminology. And I answered her honestly. I'm like, I don't provide a safe space. I provide a place for people to excel, for people to bring good work ethic, for people to grow and appreciate working in a group that holds themselves to high standards, because they take pride in their job.
But that in itself is a safe place, because you have those people around you that you know if you need something happens here, they're going to be there for you.
No, but that's what I'm saying is that, I mean, you know where I cringe on that. Because in this world of today, when you talk about a safe space, it's supposed to be, here you're safe, we'll accept anything, and I won't accept anything.
No, we don't go that far.
But I gave her my honest answer, and she appreciated the answer. She appreciated the candor, and told me that what I had created, she viewed as a safe space. That was just very, like, it kind of got me, because my fear is that this generation lacks some of the mental toughness that it takes to excel and succeed in life. And I want to be an example of, and I want to empower people that want to develop that mental toughness, that want to learn and grow. And I'm also the killer honeybee that says anything less than this is not tolerated, and don't let the door hit you in the ass if you can't excel. Because I believe that that is a lesson in life, that there are standards of acceptance, and if you're not willing to live up to those standards, you need to go find yourself a safe space, but it doesn't exist here, because we have a level of performance that we hold ourselves to for the benefit of the group, for the benefit of the customer. And if you can't perform at that level, you're not welcome here, unapologetically. And I was so afraid that by answering her honestly, that I was going to turn her off. And in fact, I didn't. And then we get to the very last, why do you choose to work for me? And then I find out she was homeschooled. She's going through, her parents are going through a divorce. So that part of her life and her world is not a safe space, that she looks forward to coming in here and working with a joyous group that takes pride in the work, that they all rally around each other. These are things to let me know that while I'm not doing it all correctly, what I am doing is having an effect. It's working on a level. And you know, it's always tear it down, rebuild it. That'll be the process. That process will never end. But we've had failure, and when we went back and doubled down on the basics and on the principles that I do value, we have found success. I wish that I had that same success in my personal life. I wish that my family, blood family, had the same appreciation for those principles. Mm-hmm. But I can't do nothing about that because I still got to be able to live with myself and look at myself in the mirror. And I just define, and I think that that's like in here. Family is important. Team is important. They're not mutually exclusive. Neither one of those things have anything to do with genetics. You have relatives, but that doesn't necessarily equal family. And I think that I'm trying to build a family of people that my team will kick your team's ass, but it's because it's based on a higher level of accountability, a higher level of expectations, a higher level of pride in what you do. And I think that all of it should be on an underlining, you have a desire to serve, not sell.
So that was a good experience you had with an employee. Take the flip side of that. Sometimes there have been people that have come through that you just know that they have the ability. You know, they have what it takes. They dig in and they do a great job. They are interested. They take pride in what they're doing. And so you take an interest in them and try to bring them along. And to meet their full potential. And you put a lot of trust and faith in those people at times as well. There are times that doesn't always work out.
The majority.
Again, we're going back to feelings. This is a feeling kind of thing.
But I mean, that's hilarious just because of the interview, because I had to be honest with her to tell her, I'm Gen X. I come from fuck your feelings. And she was fine with it. But because I will give somebody the shirt off my back. I have empathy, but one, is the empathy meter at 0? And 2, how does that empathy and those feelings measure up with what truth is and what is the highest, what's first order thought? Your feelings don't mean shit if it gets in the way of whether the door's open or not, of whether the customer is served or not. Most people in their feelings, they have a hard time grappling with that very real, honest truth. Mm-hmm. Your feelings can butt up against things that are very much more important and take more of a priority over your feelings. That's just honesty. And the people that don't accept that in life are asking for a really hard road in life, because there are many things in life that take priority over your feelings. And I'm not trying to belittle or say that you should not embrace your feelings and understand them and be willing to be vulnerable, but feelings are not a top priority. If this world operated on feelings alone, mm-hmm. Somebody would have already pushed the button and blown the whole frickin' world up.
Right.
Because how many times have how many people wanted to push that button all out of feelings? Thank God, rational intelligence ruled the frickin' day. And most people, in this day and age of embrace your feelings, it hasn't been a embrace your feelings, but let's get back to reality and talk about brutal honesty and truth.
You do have feelings.
I do.
And
I joke about my one feeling.
They are wounded. And back to the employees. When those people don't work out, is it a sense of, sometimes maybe a sense of betrayal? Is it a sense of you tell me, what is it when an employee, someone you have that faith in and that is moving down the road and all of a sudden, oh, yeah, you know what, I'm going to do something else. Screw you. Oh, can I say that? Okay.
You can say whatever you want. No, it's, And here's because the thing is, I laugh about this as a joke that I am a glutton for punishment, because I have been willing to endure and tolerate more pain than what the average person would. And I'm okay with it because I just have to be able to look in the mirror. Because I'm that way, it's also to the detriment of the team, because the majority of the team will be willing to call no joy on an individual long before I am. So I'm forcing everybody else to endure pain when they got to the right conclusion long before I did. And then I bring it back to, and if she ever hears this, I hope that because I'm not trying to like air dirty laundry or, me and Marcia divorced in 2001. We didn't quit trying to make it work until a couple years ago. It was because I don't know how to quit. So when I finally said, okay, I'm willing to quit, it's because I could look and say, I have tried every single way that I know to make this succeed. No stone unturned, no book unread, no page not. I have tried to employ every single tactic, every single action, every single thought, every single word, every single attempt to be vulnerable. I have tried everything I know to try to make this work, and it's still failed. Just maybe I should quit. That's my personality. And I see potential in people, and I am so believing in their potential and so believing in my ability to tap into that potential and make them realize that potential and that they shouldn't be squandering that I will be like, well, I can talk to them and point this out to them, and that'll wake them up, of course. And okay, well, I corrected that. Now they did this. Well, I can talk to them about that, and I can make them realize. And it was that realization for myself that somebody is only going to chase their potential if they want to chase their potential. So I can give them an opportunity, but I need to quit coddling them and holding their hand, because all I'm really doing is causing my team pain, because they're looking and going, well, I don't even know if I saw the same potential you did, but even if I did, they're not willing to chase their potential. So quit coddling them. And that's why I told her, like, if I walk away from you, like, you've done something really, really bad, because it's not in my nature to walk away. It's not in my nature to quit. It's not in my nature to fire. And if I'm willing to cut ties with you, like, you've really fucked up. I'm trying to learn from that and be more expedient about it so that I'm not causing pain to the team as a whole. Part of it, though, is that I know I have to live with myself. I have to look at myself in the mirror. I have to be able to sleep with myself. So I have been willing to let other people fuck me to an extreme, so that I know when I finally cut ties that I don't have
everything you can.
That I did everything I could, and I don't have to have any regrets or look at myself and somehow feel like I had any wrong in the situation. And what kills me is I'm finally getting to a point of being more disciplined to say, words matter, and if I'm not willing to give you words, I'm done. And I have had several people want to circle back around to see if time has passed and I'm willing to sweep things under the rug. And I'm proud of myself because I didn't even respond. Because I was like, good for me. I didn't even take the mental time to circle back around to it, to respond to them, to let them think that I've opened a door they wronged me to the point that I was willing to cut ties with them. And I'm the guy that won't cut ties until it is just horribly, nobody else would tolerate this shit. Honestly, I feel like I've spent more time circling back around to my team, apologizing for what I made them endure because I continued to try and save somebody from drowning when they were intent on swimming to the bottom of the damn ocean and blowing all the air out because they were trying to commit suicide. And I was so intent that I was going to be that saving hand. And I'm like, there are some people that just
don't reach for the hand.
They don't. And here I am diving in, trying to pull them up at the expense of everybody else. And then I have to go look at myself in the mirror and realize trying to save that one person wasn't worth the grief, the drama, the loss of respect from the team that I value so much. All I can say is it's been painful growth. And I have a quote where I'm like, your mistakes don't have to always be the mistakes that you learn from. And these types of mistakes, because I'm like, there are circumstances to every situation. And these types of mistakes, like, there are circumstances to them. As soon as you inject an individual in something, it's not just been there, done that, seen that. Like, they're an individual. It's just like that girl. You might think that you've seen that because anybody homeschooled until there's an outlier to it. And I'm always looking for that individual. I want to believe in them. They could be the outlier, and everybody else is like, nope, dude, they're in this category and you're making us all suffer because you won't just cut the cord with them. And then I get to that, okay, I got to admit you're right and I'm wrong and I'm sorry. I made the whole team endure that. And there is no right or wrong answer, and it's my cross to bear because this is me and how I am. And it is so important to me that I'm able to live with myself, that every day I'm able to look at myself in the mirror and be okay with me. It's based in, that's why I say I love people and I hate people, because I truly want to connect with people, but I hate people because there are so many people that it just does not matter how much of a helping hand you give, how much of a leg up you try, how much you try and empower, support, enable. Shitty people are going to do shitty things. A snake is still a snake, and it will bite you if you get close enough to it. And I go back to and what do I know myself to be? I'm the guy that is willing to catch the falling knife. And sometimes it serves me well and sometimes it doesn't. But at the end of the day, I have to be able to live with myself. And it's something that, you go the family side of it. I can't live with myself if I'm allowing shit to be swept under the rug. That's caused problems on that side of it. I can't live with myself if I'm cutting somebody off when they could really have greatness in them, if I don't go far enough down that rabbit hole to truly find out if they want that greatness or if they want to just hang themselves and the rest of the team has to sacrifice. But all of this, like, if I don't have my own level of sanity, I can't live with myself, and I don't want regret. So I end up helping more, extending more, giving more chances, going an extra mile that in all reality, then it butts up against the I value time more than anything. And circling all of that, I have started to limit my exposure to people because I know I have a propensity to be that way. I don't want to say I've gotten to a point where I'm trying to confine myself to solitude, but I have had more of a propensity to confine myself to the inner circle, to insulate me from the outer world, because my fear today is that I'm going to see potential in somebody and I'm going to try and bring them in, and I'm going to end up causing pain to all of you, where I'm sitting here going, I'm supposed to have learned that about myself. I'm supposed to have learned that lesson. And it sucks because I want to give people opportunity. I want to believe in people. The vast majority don't believe in themselves. The vast majority squander that opportunity. And then they wonder why good people end up retracting themselves and not offering and being willing to empower, because we have been burned so many times that we're just not trying to fuck up and disrupt the good thing that we do have with the people that we're surrounded with. I know you know, but
They know.
So, way back when, you would talk about, it was in your earlier days, my earlier days of knowing you, and probably before I ever came in here. But you would talk about you wanted to build something as big as you could build it. You wanted to see how big you could build something.
because I'm a guy, damn it. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I came to help you do that, but dang. So with that growth, I mean, from where you were then, even when you first started, you had good when you first started, and then things started, and you overwhelmed yourself with many stores, blah, blah, blah. So you tried building it really fast. With building something, and the bigger you make it, the more people you're dealing with, the more processes, the more rules, the more this, the more that, the more trust, the more everything that you have, the bigger you build this. Do you still want to build it as big as you can build it?
So, the same way success has many metrics, growth has many metrics. Because if you look at the metric of revenue, the 3 operations now do double to triple the amount of revenue that the original 7 operations did.
Mm-hmm.
Then I look at what Starbucks does. They wanted to have control of everything, so it's all corporate-owned stores. And they are now responsible for hundreds of thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the franchising side of it, and I'm like, and that might be my version of empowering other people, that if you truly believe in yourself and you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, I will give you the systems, the branding, the box to unpack to be successful. But I'm not going to be responsible for your success when it comes to building your customer base, when it comes to building your team. I'm going to tell you what I do in my operations. I'm going to show you the results and the culture that I have built. And I'll show you the example, but you're going to do that yourself. And it's because 20 years in, I'm like, and I've said this before, Ray Kroc died building McDonald's. I have no desire to die building this business. I want to reap the fruits of the labor.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy life without shouldering all of the stress and responsibility that that comes with being the number one in the business. So I don't believe that they're mutually exclusive. I want growth, but I have been trying to shift towards being an orchestrator, being a coach, being a team builder, so that I'm dividing the amount of shoulders that have to handle that stress load and handle that responsibility, so that I'm not shouldering all of it. Because I can remember, I mean, you remember my trips to DC to see Mom and Shane? One of them was, it was an analogy about putting on the shoulder pads and all of the weight that was attached to those shoulder pads and all of the responsibility that came with it, and knowing enough about yourself to know when to take those shoulder pads off, only if for moments and minutes, to rejuvenate, repower, before putting those shoulder pads back on and going back into battle. Now it's a realization, when I say it's not mutually exclusive, that I can divide that responsibility and weight across many people in an organization, so that I'm not shouldering all of that. Thereby, I'm not having to endure all of that myself, yet we can still grow because I have many people shouldering that and taking on that responsibility. And at the same time, we've talked about this, you and I are not getting any younger. And I don't know that I necessarily intend to age gracefully. I mean, quality of life is more important than life itself. You know, all of between the fasting and the fitness challenges, like, I'm intent that I'm going to have a higher quality of life as I get into my later years. The point being, it is about, we laid a foundation for the business to scale off of, but it has also been about laying a foundation of next generation of people, finding the people to say, I've laid this foundation. You can build a skyscraper off of what I've built. Here is much the same way there's a box for franchisees to unpack. I'm not giving up the franchisor mantle, but I also know I'm not going to be the sole person that's doing that. I'm trying to build a group of people that are going to do that, because I don't want to die shouldering all of this stress. Because then it's how many years did I look at you and say it's not worth it?
Yet you continued. Every day.
Yes.
Start over.
And I'm looking at it now going, at 49 years old, today I'll still tell you it's not worth it. That's why I say you should not. And I guess I should clarify, because I've said this a couple times and I didn't clarify. When I say you're a fool to get into entrepreneurship because of the odds that are stacked against you, I'm specifically talking about building something from nothing. And I understand that my answer to that is that you should look into franchising. And coincidentally, I happen to have a franchise offering. But the point is, my franchise might not be right for you, but in the franchise world, they have a franchise for any industry that you're interested in. And the mental that you have to get over is, if you try and build something from nothing, even if you succeed, you will spend millions of dollars in development to get to the other side. And you're going to endure a tremendous amount of pain through the whole process. If you go into franchising, you're going to have to give somebody else hundreds of thousands of dollars. But they're going to give you the box to unpack and the shortcuts for you to literally open up and start profiting from the beginning. Because I literally had to function and operate for a decade with no money, no profit to speak of, no real roof over my head. And it was only in the second decade that I could start to move that direction, because at the beginning of this interview, you're giving me shit about a building, but I've only owned the building for 2 years. Every place before that was a semblance of a living space, except for the house in Indianapolis. I rented that house for the purpose of being just down the road for starting that store. That house was the first time that I had moved into a real living space. And I remember having conversations with you about the amount of anxiety that me and Zanny were both feeling, because our existence had been in living in 100 square foot and then moving into a 1,500 square foot home. We were freaking out because we were not used to literally having that kind of space. It took me 17 years to get to the point of you blowing me shit about having a building downtown. That was a financial decision. You know damn well I don't need that kind of space. And it was it made monetary sense to purchase that building. And you know damn well I likely won't own the building forever, but there was no way of getting financially hurt. And it was a form of monetary diversification of assets, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm talking about.
You know damn well I have to give you shit once in a while. Keep you on your toes.
You give me, it's not more than once in a while. You're one of the few that gets away with it. And I would swear that other people come to you with it. And they let you be the delivery method because they know they couldn't get away with it, but you can.
And that's how it's done. So, with all of that and for someone doing that, and I know you would, there would be a negative. Don't do that. You would encourage them to, please don't do that. But someone who does, and they decide they're going to jump right in with both feet, just like Jason did. I'm going to follow your lead. What kind of advice would you give them over the feelings that come from the struggle just to survive yourself, take care of your own self, much less a business and trying to get it up and going, for those struggle times and the emotional ups and downs that come along with all of that? Because I don't know that people really see there's a lot that comes with owning a business. It's not, I own a business, so I don't have to be there anymore. Just send me my check. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot.
No, I want that mailbox money just like everybody else. Yeah, no, that's what I said. I want to win the lottery too. The only difference is I now have the experience and the business acumen that if I won the lottery, like I would amplify that money. That's so many people, if they won the lottery, like they're just going to spend it and they're going to be broke at a certain time. And this is something that has had to be learned, but I've tried to preach it. Life is going to challenge you, so you're better off to challenge yourself, so that when life's challenges come up, you already know what you're made of. You are going to come across things that you don't know what the hell you're doing. So you're better off to start actively learning about those things before they come your way. And I'm sitting there going, and you watched me go through it to your, I guess, detriment. Same thing with Matt. Like, he's like, you're going to go 20 days without eating. That was an automatic cringe moment of, oh my God, what kind of Jason am I going to get? So I'm sitting there going, 3 years of that hashtag February fasting. First 20 days of February, I did it for 3 years. The 4th year I failed because of everything going on in business, and I rolled into 75 hard. These are, for my mental and physical health, I was pursuing, that was like a health journey, but it was also me putting a challenge in front of me saying, if I can accomplish this, the vast majority of people can't accomplish that. So if I can accomplish that, I know what I'm made of. So when the world throws me a challenge, I know it's not an insurmountable. The same way that I'm like, as I remember, man, I don't know if it was for a full 3 years, because I know that due to everything else going on, that my morning 3 cups read while I'm like, that went on for about 3 years. I'm sitting there going somewhere neighborhood 400 books. That was a learn, actively feed yourself, learn, because you're going to need it. You're going to need to call on it. And these are I don't believe most people will do that, either one of those. I don't believe most people will challenge themselves to find out what they're made of before they come up on a challenge, and that challenge ends up kicking their ass, and then they throw in the towel and quit. Then they've just wasted a bunch of time. I don't believe the majority of people appreciate that life is a learning journey, and they don't purposely put themselves on a learning path, and then they wonder why they fail. It's because the old saying, well, if it was as easy as it looks, everybody would be doing it. If you go to any successful entrepreneur, they will tell you that one of the first major realizations they had to have is that life is a learning journey, and you need to be a sponge and out there trying to absorb all of the information you can and learn from every person that you encounter and every situation that you find yourself in, that you always need to be looking for the lesson so that you can develop wisdom. That was the whole, when I was trying to grow in the beginning, make mistakes early and often, because whatever the mistake is, I'm going to learn from it, and then it's going to be applicable for the rest of my life. And that's where the value is. Like, the mistake sucks. The pain that you endure while you're making or finding out the consequences of your mistake sucks. But that will live with you and can be applied. That value exponentially increases as you go later in life. Most people are like, we get back to that, oh, well, I graduated high school. I've learned everything I need to learn. I graduated college. Like, I don't need to learn anymore. What do I need to read anymore? I already went through that stage of my life. No, dummy, you're going to be a dummy for the rest of your life, because there are a couple, I shouldn't say a couple, there are a lot of us that are learning until the day we die. And you decided you were going to quit learning at 25 years old, and you wonder why you're getting your ass kicked, whether it be in your personal life or in business. Well, you're getting your ass kicked by somebody that still continued to learn at 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And then you're looking at somebody that's 50 as this, no, they just never stopped learning. They have all of that wisdom because they continued to learn, they continued to apply, and they continued to marry that education with experience. Combined creates value of wisdom, and they're able to apply that to every day of their life for the rest of their life. And that shit is work. And most people want to poo-poo work. And then they wonder why they can't get ahead in life. Well, the people that get ahead in life work more than the average person. They get an above average result because they gave an above average effort, whether it be challenging yourself mentally, challenging yourself physically, or always looking for the lesson or the opportunity to learn. And I've seen entrepreneurs talk about this, and it's like, there are some times where you're going to look at the work and you're going to be like, that work is beneath me, or that work doesn't pay me enough to deserve my effort. Sometimes the work, the value, is about the experience that you're gaining, not the money that you're making. You're gaining that experience so that you can apply it to something else, and taking that experience and leveraging it to be paid later in life. And you're robbing yourself of the ability to lever it because you're too good to do the work because you're not being paid enough on the front side. That's not that there is something wrong with this society in this country that they have poo-pooed work. And there is many benefits. It's like, quit using your brain, it'll rot and die. Quit using your body, it'll rot and die. Those are basic things to say work is good. But in work comes experience, and inexperience gives you the opportunity to lever later in life. And if you rob yourself here, you're fucking yourself out of opportunity here.
So the answer is learn, read,
Always.
educate, collect knowledge.
Always. In all ways. What's that? Ryan Serhant of, he's on that frickin' show. It's a real estate show in New York. And he says his thing is expansion, always, in all ways. Challenging yourself, learning, growing, always, in all ways.
Expand your brain. All right. Are we done yet?
Well, I mean, we are outside of because I'm sitting there going, the second question, you probably got some type of canned answer. But the first question, I'm like, I have been asking you this question for 12 fucking years.
What are you talking about? And if I didn't answer it in 12 years, you think I'm going to answer it now?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Why?
Oh, that is such a hard question.
I know. That's the thing, is because I have joked many times, and I have been like, don't let this woman fool you. She's just a gambler, and she put her chips on me. She bet on me. She has hitched her financial future to me. She just made a financial bet. But I'm like, that wouldn't explain our friendship. And this has been a fool's bet. The same way that it was a 90. No, the same way that I didn't know that I was taking on a 99% failure rate journey. Only a fool would have looked at me in the situation that I was in and said, I'm going to bet on him. Now, I understand that when I say only a fool, like, and then they don't know, I represented your husband inside of the plant. Like, I knew your daughter. She worked for me for a small time. Like, there was people that I knew that led to the connection where you and I were able to get to know each other for a little bit of time before you actually got involved in the business. But all of the years, all of the trials and tribulations, all of the times that you could look at it and be like, I have to let him be him and do what he's going to do, but I'm pretty sure he's going to fail. And you literally having to watch that and be prepared and willing to support me when I would finally say, okay, because at least I'm willing to admit when I screwed up. Now help me clean it up. All of the times, and I don't even, why? Why have you chosen to work with me?
Because you asked me to. We had a lot of conversations. And I guess I just saw something in you that said, I can give what I can. I don't know a lot about what you're doing, but I'm willing to learn, and wasn't expecting to be here 12 years later. I don't think you were expecting me to be here 12 years later, because you were in a spot where you just needed somebody to just help you get over a hump, whether it was helping customers in that capacity, or just being a vent, someplace to vent to get it out so you could bring it back down and look at it a little clearer. I do have different views than you do, and sometimes I know you don't like my views, but
No, but I appreciate the intuition. No, that because I mean that's where we come back to the people watching thing. Like it's nice to have that. I value that female intuition, because there have been many times where I would bring you into a situation because I knew that you would be pretty quiet, but I knew you were observing, and later on I was able to circle back around to say, what was your feeling? What did you get out of this situation, or the vibe of the individual? I've always trusted your female intuition.
Yeah. And I think as it grew and I was in here more, it has just become something that I do every day. That's developed over years. And I mean, honestly, there were days, Jason, that it was like, I am so angry at you that I wanted to just walk away. But I would get up the next morning, look at the situation, say, okay, we can deal with this. And back in I'd come. Let's settle this. Let's put this away. I don't know, I developed respect for you early on. And I observe people. And I watched you in this business and how you handled things. And in the beginning now, that was kind of rough. Because you were pretty abrasive. Sometimes it was like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have said that. Please go collect yourself and come back and let's redo this. And I've watched you grow over the years, though. I've watched you learn from those things and those lessons and some of the mistakes that both of us have made. And that's what it's about, is just learning and growing and continuing. And I know you have a love for people, and you would help anybody that needed to be helped. I've watched it in here when people have struggled, and you've, whether you thought you were going to get money back or repaid in some other way, it didn't matter. You helped them out of a situation. Sometimes you kind of got burnt, and other times it was a gift, and other times it just was what it was. But I mean,
that's how I know I'm not a bad person. I've given it even when I didn't have it to give. That's
yeah. So I don't know. My gut said you were good people, and you wanting to build it as big as you can. That's always stuck. I want to see how big I can build it, like a little kid with Legos. I want to see how big I can build it. It's like, okay, well, come see what this is all about. And I just kind of grew into it, and it became a way of life. And in a way, I wouldn't say it was a safe place for me, because I didn't need a safe place. But sometimes it was escape from reality. And I'm going to cry if I continue that sentence, because, yeah, tragic. I needed a place to direct my attention, or I was just going to probably, I'd already been 6 months withering away. So when you said I need help, it's like, okay, somebody needs me for something. What you need? I'll do what I can to help you. So.
And I mean, it's been, I wondered about that. I ain't wondered and even thought about that for a long time, but I wondered about that.
Yeah. And you know that, yeah. And you got to have somewhere to direct your attention, or I would have just sat there.
It's, when I think about it, under that It's just funny when I think about her question. Truly, deeply thinking about it now, this place has actually been a safe, welcoming place for many people to come direct their efforts to something worth it that was actually just as much of a taking their minds off of other pieces of their life.
A good distraction in a positive direction. Or it could have just went the other way.
This is the first time that I've actually, because I know people have looked at me and been like, only a fool would do what you did. You should never start a business in the mental place that you were. But I did it because I knew bad things would happen if I didn't give my brain something to latch onto. I never, even that, knowing that Marcia wanted to be involved. We were 30 days from opening the door, and I was like, I fear for her mental capacity, this will give her brain something to latch onto.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and just until now, and the previous, when she basically told me, she looks forward to coming in here as her safe space because of what she's going through in her personal life. How many people have come through these doors and found some type of solace inside of this building, working amongst these people, and it was actually a safe haven for what was actually going on in their personal lives, because all they had to do was give a shit and they would be accepted here. Because I feel like that's the one prereq. You need to care.
Take pride in what you're doing.
Yeah. Why should other people patronize Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez?
Because of everything we just said. I used to say...
Now we go back to the feelings, and I'm like...
Feelings.
Yeah, feelings.
Yeah, we've learned a few things about that too. Feelings and controlling your emotions in the moments of daily, because some days you don't know what's coming at you. You don't know when you walk in these doors what's going to come your. You know what you're planning on coming in and doing, but that may not be what you're actually doing. And I used to tell people a long time ago, many years ago, be careful, because when you walk in these doors, it changes you. You become a part of this. And I don't know if it's the dang electrical wires over the place, or if it's the energy that all of the people in here generate. It's something, I think this place touches people in ways that sometimes we don't even realize that they've left here with. So come see us. And do a franchise, please.
Oh, my Lord. I want to add to that last piece, but I'm sitting there going, sadly, there are going to be people that like the idea of franchising, and I'm going to have to deny them.
It's no different than employees. You're looking for the right people.
And that's what I'm saying right there, is that it's going
culture.
to take the right people. The ideal franchisee is likely not me. And when I say that, it's almost like having to rip me in half. There is half of me that truly values, just tell me what the road to success is, and I will emulate and duplicate it. But then there's the other half of me that is like, I want to blaze my own trail. I want to be original and I want to do it my way. That me, I do not want within 100 miles of me as a franchisee. You'll wreak havoc on a franchise system.
Mm-hmm.
This me, yes. This me, I need hundreds and hundreds of. And I need that individual to understand and ideally appreciate that no matter how much it costs them to get into business by doing business with me, that I'm saving them 2 to 3 times that amount monetarily, and I'm saving them a lifetime of pain by literally just unpacking and executing the box that I have spent 20 years developing. Because this half, I can't ever let that individual get involved in our business ever again. The person that thinks they know better and that thinks that they should be able to reinvent the wheel, that person is not a good franchisee, and they should either just work for somebody or strike out on their own and learn those painful lessons themselves. Like, I'm looking for somebody that appreciates the value of a developed roadmap, that is a proven roadmap, because they want to be a leader in their community and they want to risk reward, make profit off of hard work. Not somebody that needs to explore every creative bone in their body and try and rethink. Because I've already been down that road and it already cost me millions of dollars and 20 years of my life. And I don't know, if you could look internally, you'd look at me and be like, his internals are 100 years old. Like, the stress of what I have went through has aged me on a level. Like, and that's where I'm saying that there's no sense going through that. And the ideal franchisee says, I want to run this program and I will happily be a franchisee because I don't want to endure that they will see it, recognize it, understand it, and say, I know that's not a path that I want. I want this path, and see the value in it.
Done a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears in that thing. So, yeah. Somebody needs to take it and use it.
Somebody's. Yeah, many.
Yes, many somebodies. We can help you find locations.
That is the part that I truly, I have to, especially, initially, I'm looking for those pioneer franchisees. The same way, I hate to, because people can misconstrue this. We came to America through the ports of Virginia, New York, and pioneers struck off into America, and it turned it into America. And the pioneers were not the same people that were the gold rush that came in after, that were the industrialists that came in after. There's a certain mindset to the pioneers that wanted, that saw something and was like, I want to be on the front lines. I want to be one of the first people seizing a great opportunity that is still very much in its infancy. But it's got to be the right people, because my side is also risk reward. I can't have failed franchisees. I've got to have people that are like, let me unpack the system and execute what your system says to execute. Because if I do that, I should be able to get the result that you've gotten. And I'm saying it like that because I've gotten it out of a 50,000 person community And in Indiana or in America, there are, a 50,000 person community, there are thousands and thousands of 50,000 person communities. There are 1,000, 100,000 to 500,000 to 1 million people communities. So if I can have these results in a 50,000 person community, well, if we just opened up franchises in 100,000 plus people communities, that's automatically twice as many people in a target audience that I build it off of. But we've already learned they have to follow the system. And they have to want to follow the system.
Yeah.
Across the board. That's what kills me about people in general, but the times that we're in the politics, it kills me that people can agree on 98% of all things, but they're willing to trash relationships over that 2%. That does not compute with me. People really matter because I cannot waste my time and energy around people that they will live and die on that 2%. The 98% has to matter. And it has to be more important than the 2%. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for letting me.
I didn't know how it would go. I know I didn't know what kind of questions you would come with. I didn't know what kind of thoughts that you were having.
Oh, I've went many different directions. And had I written them down... So you got an easy one this time.
It's because I put you on a deadline and you were forced to hold to an actual time.
I wasn't forced to.
I know that. No, I trust me. I know.
No.
I don't think that I've ever been able to successfully force you to do anything you didn't want to do.
Or
like much less just yeah, exactly. No, that's right. Not even 1 inch.
I push you back.
Yeah, yeah.
That's one thing something you guys share in common.
The stubbornness.
We have something in common.
The stubbornness. No, I get it. It's
Painful realization there.
Yeah.
it really because I've told you many times, like if she thinks that you're trying to push her to move faster than what she wants to go, she will purposely smile at you as she is purposely slowing down to a snail's pace. And the smile is, I dare you to try and get me to pick up my pace. And it's not that she can't move faster. It's that she sees you want her to move faster and she will not be forced to move not 1 freaking inch faster than she wants to move.
I might move faster sometimes if you're more pushy.
See what I'm saying? And I have found that if I want more out of you, I have to expect less and let you move at your pace. Because I know that if I try and push you for a faster pace, I will get a slower pace.
Yeah, it's not all the time though. That's
No, it's not.
Sometimes under pressure situations, and it's like, you're frazzling me. I can't do this under this. No. So I'm going to slow it down.
The reason that we are friends is because I took the time to learn you and appreciate you. And honestly appreciate that you're not flighty. you are the way you are all the time, and there is appreciation to be had in that consistency. Sometimes that means that I have to work around you, and that I know I'm going to pay for it later on because I'm going to get some type of aggression out of you, passive or otherwise. And I, in that moment, make a conscious decision that I'm going to work around you because I'm applying a level of urgency or priority to something occurring, and I know that I'm going to pay a price for it with you. But it's through that learning that there are also many times that I've assessed the situation and decided, slow your roll because it's not worth the price that you will pay if you do work around her in this situation. And it has been a pick your battles. And there are times when I worked her, well, we got to a point once I understood you that it became calculated with me, that if I worked around you, I was owning that I was knowing that I was working around you and there would be a price to pay for it later on. And in the same sentence, there are, because I learned you many times, that I didn't work around you because I valued our relationship and I realized it wasn't a hill that I was willing to die on. It did not have the level of importance that initially I was assigning to it, and it wasn't worth the price that I knew you would make me pay. So I really calculated just how important is this issue, just how worth it, just how imperative is it, because in order to get this done in this manner, in this time frame, I'm going to have to work around her, and there will come a price by doing that. Sometimes. And that's the whole. But that's also been, I did that because I highly value our relationship. So there's a price there. There's a value there. So there are many times that I did not because of the value that I put on our relationship. Because there have been a couple times I knew I would pay the price, but I knew that it wasn't a deal breaker. I knew you were going to be pissed at me, but I knew I needed to do, and it was not going to sever our relationship, but it was going to put some strain on it for a minute, but I knew that it really needed to be done. But as I have gotten to know you, and I'm like, this woman is not going to walk away from me, so I don't need to feel threatened in that manner. There has also been there needs to be give on the other side. And there have been times that I have slowed my own roll or I have slowed other people because of you.
Aw. But I don't try to get in your way.
No, I
don't
get it.
try to get in the way or slow down business.
No, but you are you. Rebecca is Rebecca.
Yeah, I gotta be.
I get it. Thank you for being you.
And you too. Yeah, I like to think we complement each other, or one comes in. The personalities are very different, and for a long time I thought this is a really odd friendship. It's not a likely. It's not an odd. It wasn't likely, and I don't think if there weren't other people that we knew that actually brought us together, I don't know if we ever would have. I mean, I would come in here. Oh, maybe we would have. Maybe I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
It
Most people don't understand it.
Yeah, no, they don't.
But I have become comfortable being misunderstood.
I'm getting there because, yeah, people don't understand me. They don't take the time to get to know me, to understand why I am the way I am, or why I do some of the things I do. And sometimes there's assumptions made and they're just plain damn wrong. It's like, okay, think what you want. I'm not going to bother with it. But we've come this far, and look how far you have brought this thing. From you and I working in this store from 2 o'clock on till close, hoping to get enough tips to buy a pack of smokes. Yeah, nothing to do but after close. I mean, we closed at 7:30 in the evening, for crying out loud, when it was just a coffee shop. So, good choice in having pizza.
No, I remember talking to you about that. Remember when we
They're
were like,
no, it's
no.
going to change the smell.
Mhm.
It's gonna redo the whole thing. It's going to be, oh, here, change. That was one of my things in there, was change, because you're very accepting of it, and I struggle with it. It has to be baby steps a lot of times, and you come in like a bull in a china shop and just turn it all upside down. I'm like, now what?
and I knew it would all be, but that's what the thing. But I understood that. I wish I had understood that day one. It took me many years, but that development is the process of tearing down and rebuilding.
Yeah,
And
I
that
can see
just
that better
equals
now than
change.
I
No, that's
did
what I said.
in the early
The bad
days.
thing is yeah, I'm like, you freaking moron. But I see it so clearly now. Like, but it took a whole lot of pain and a whole lot of learning to see it so clearly now.
Mm-hmm. Going through the experiences. Yeah. Brought it a long way. And he ain't done yet, guys. Them franchises.